I didn't name the title track. You can do that anytime.
Yes.
After you guys started.
No, it doesn't. I want to put it in there. Well, good. Do we have your microphone on here?
Yep.
This one. Yep.
All right.
Can't stand still. Test. Sibilance. All right.
It is. Yeah.
Do I use this one too?
Yes.
Okay. Check. Sibilance. Okay. Alrighty. A little bit of late start there, but that's okay. My name's Steve Truax, and I build an arcade machine. That's pretty much what it is. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not a woodworker. I'm not a builder. I'm just a guy that came last year and said for my first HackerCon and said, "Hey, I can do this. Well, at least I can build something cool." Alrighty, who am I? Been working in IT since about '97 professionally, but I've been hacking ever since I was a kid. Used to go to the Montgomery wards whenever they used to have those, and destroy the VIC-20s and the Commodore 64s and stuff by doing all kinds of really cool things and locking them up so bad that the people had to come by and basically reboot the computers. My first computer was a VIC-20, and then also one of these. Can anybody tell me what this is? I am so old. I'm sorry. I grew up in the 80s. It's a big track. And believe it or not, people say, "Oh, it's a toy." But you know what? It actually taught me programming, because what it had is on the back here, it would have a little digital pad, and you tell it to go forward, how many feet, turn, how many directions, shoot. I had a little laser light on the front. It was a really cool toy. And I wore one out so bad that my dad had to get me another one. And I never thought about it until I was in my 30s, and I said, "Man, what really got me into the computers?" And then I thought back at this wonderful toy that I had that actually got me inspired to start in the whole technology field. And as a side note, if you ever want to get any kids or even adults interested in programming, there's a code.org, has a 1 hour of code every year, big thing, but you can go on at any time. And they have a really cool interface for programming. It has Flappy Birds, it has Frozen movie, it has Minecraft, and all kinds of cool games that you can program just by dragging and dropping pieces of a puzzle with. So if you ever want to teach kids or get them interested in programming, because I don't even think you can even find cool toys like this anymore. I'm sure they got other stuff now. Also, I'm going to age myself, but I used to hang out on bulletin boards like Prodigy, CompuServe, or whatever else I could get my modem to connect to. Back in the day with my giant fast 14.4 modem, I think is what it was on there. Okay, beginning my talk. I was inspired by Tim Sayer, his talk last year about Raspberry Pis and what he did with them. And I said, you know what, I've got a couple Raspberry Pis at home. I'm doing nothing with them, and I've always wanted my own arcade machine. Ever since I was a kid in the 80s playing video games, I've always wanted to own one, but financially, not there. I was not going to do a talk on it. I wasn't going to talk on it at all. Forgive me for talking so fast. I want to get back to the CTF myself real quick. So, and when I'm nervous, I talk fast. So I didn't want to do a talk on it. Benny said, "Hey, this is cool." And I said, "I just built this thing to bring it in so they would have something cool to do on the downtime at HackerCon. So people can come up. I wanted to make it a two-player for people to have fun with. I wasn't going to do a talk on it, and Benny said, "We need people to do talks. Guess what? You're doing it." So, okay. Most of my instructions I got from Instructable's website. They have a really good link here, and I'm going to give Adrian my PowerPoint. I'm sure he can put it up there, so we'll have the PowerPoint slides for it later. And it gives you, the site gives you all kinds of templates that you can do to cut out the wood. It gives you material lists and plans and everything, and it's pretty straightforward. I started it exactly about a year ago after the last HackerCon, and I wanted to make sure I had it ready for this one. And believe it or not, a year goes by fast. I was up last night fixing up some stuff on it. So my objectives for this project, the cabinet must be movable by one person. I didn't want to have like 3 guys trying to carry a giant arcade cabinet in here for us to play with, and considering it runs on a Raspberry Pi, really just don't really need it. It must be inexpensive. I have 3 kids. One's at WVU and the other 2 are at home in school. And don't have a lot of money, so I wanted to be inexpensive. I wanted to use as much components as I could. And it's stuff I had laying around the house. I had an old Raspberry Pi 2 at home I was going to use for it. I have a Raspberry, the first one, set up as an FTP server for my camera at home. I might have been using that, but it's a little slow. So it must have it done within a year. It must use the classic arcade controllers, although I like to play the other games, but I wanted to have that old arcade feel. And it must be able to play my favorite 80s games. That was the biggest point. All right. The cabinet itself, I built it with a 1/2-inch MDF board, about $25. And I'm going to put prices up here just to show you kind of how cheap I went on it, and that's, why I did it. Went to Lowe's and got like MDF board. Found the templates on the Instructables website. You can actually print them out, cut them out, and make templates out of them. And just took a jigsaw and cut them out and did the stuff on there. But if you're not good with woodworking, which I found out real quick that I'm not good at woodworking, you'll see a lot of my flaws on it. But for this site down here, linked, you can get a whole kit for like $100. And basically, I think a screwdriver and you can put it together. And maybe next time, that's probably what I'll do. This is the beginning and the end process. My junky workbench that I had about 4 feet of room to work on. And then my final project. The screen, I just used an old 15-inch monitor I had laying around, and I just strapped it in. I was going to try to monster glue it in and all that kind of stuff, and none of it held, so I just strapped some straps to it, and it's been holding up since. Controls. This is the most expensive part of the project, believe it or not. I paid $70 at Amazon. For the controls, I did I wanted to get the light-up controls that when you hit the buttons, they light up. I wanted to get that, so that was probably my most expensive part. And how I built it, and I'll probably go into this a little bit further, is actually I wanted it to come apart. So you can get to the controls really quickly and easily because you'll do a lot of configuration in there. But there's no soldering, and that was my biggest point because I need to go over there and learn how to solder because I really don't know how to solder myself. So I didn't want to do that and burn down my house. So I wanted to go ahead and have something plug and play. These are plug and play buttons. The wires all come into it. You just plug them into the converter that converts it over to USB. Plug them into the Raspberry Pi, and you're off and running. There's multiple button layouts I found. I found out a lot about arcade machines in this build, and some of these people are just crazy. So you have different button layouts you can get. You set up. I recommend drawing them out first and making sure everything's right before you start cutting holes, because once you do, you're done. Wiring the buttons was really easy. I labeled the wires, and the reason I did that is in case some of them don't work or you don't know what goes to what, always label the wires. It makes it a lot easier. When RetroPie, which is I'm going to talk about later, is the operating system, when it first boots up, it asks you, hey, we just detected this joystick. Do you want to configure, let's configure it, up, down, left, right, A, B, A, whatever, and to put it in there. So you have to map them whenever it starts, and you can remap them at any time. You can even remap them to the game. And I also wanted to keep them accessible in case there's problems, which 2 days ago I broke 2 of my buttons, actually, accidentally, and had to go in there and completely take them back out and rewire them, and it made it a whole lot easier not nailing it in there. Sound lighting and laminate, the plastic on it. I gutted the old PC speakers I found and mounted them up in the marquee, and then got a light bar, and that's what I put up in here. And all it is just old speakers, just basically screwed them in there, cut some holes in there, and I even left the power and everything else to the powered speakers. Maybe another build, I'll go ahead and make a little bit better speaker system on it, make it a little louder. I don't know. I think it's fine for what it is. And then I got a $10 light board at Walmart. And then the worst part of the whole thing was the plexiglass. I had some accidents in the back, and that's why I have some duct tape on it in the back. I cracked a bunch of plexiglass. But the good thing about plexiglass, if you take it to Lowe's, at least I know Lowe's, and you have the exact measurements, they'll cut it for you for free, which saved me a lot because I don't have all the stuff for it. And then the laminate covering, which is the white, I did that simply because I didn't know if I wanted to keep graphics on it. And I didn't want to put a whole bunch of money. there's a lot of companies out there that you can do custom graphics if you're good at Photoshop or whatever like that. You can send it to them and they can send it to you, and it makes it nice and fancy. But it's a hack. I didn't want to make it fancy. Alrighty. The heart of the arcade. Oh, that E ran down there for some reason. I don't know why. So anyway, Raspberry Pi specs. I don't want to read them to you, but the reason I went Raspberry Pi 3 is I had a Raspberry Pi 2. I've seen it every day for the past year, and I knew exactly where it was until I got the arcade built and got ready to plug it in, and I could not find it. I'm thinking it's in my daughter's room, actually. So I had to go out and get a Raspberry Pi 3. The new 3 comes with the two things that I really liked on it. It has a Bluetooth now on board, and it also has a Wi-Fi, so you don't have to have those little dongles on the back to get your Wi-Fi and to take up valuable USB ports. $50, got the whole kit, power, a USB card, and that was another reason I didn't put a whole lot of games on it. I only got an 8 gig SD card in there. Case and heat sinks was all $50. Now here's the operating system I used was RetroPie. I've used it before when I was testing this out, and I like the interface of it. Basically, just download the ISO. I don't know if you're familiar with Raspberry Pis. With the operating system, you download the ISO, and then you use your favorite image burner to burn it to the SD card, plug it in the back, and you're done. That's pretty much all it is. So got the RetroPie site up there. It's free download. It says it has emulators for over 50 systems. I've only got about a handful. I got like 2 or 3, maybe 4 systems on here. It supports all types of controllers. You don't have to have the arcade machine controllers like I do. You can use virtual game pads, Wii U's, PS3s, your phone. I mean, they got all kinds of stuff you can use now. They also have custom themes, and by that is the scrolling through the menu system. This is a pretty plain Jane one, but they have other ones that have all kinds of cool graphics and templates that go down and all that. And there's all kinds of themes you can download, and you can use different ones for whatever system that you're wanting to do to customize the RetroPie operating system. And there's okay. And then also it brings us to the point of ROMs. The actual games themselves are called ROMs. And the main wiki says that in the old arcade games, they're usually stored on these old memory read-only chips. So they continue that with the MAME, with the arcades, which is the MAME. You download them as zip files, you keep them zips, you don't unzip them, and then you drop them into their corresponding folders. So whenever you FTP in or SSH or even file share in, you'll have a list when you connect to the Raspberry Pi of the different operating systems, like arcade, and then there's like Game Boy Advance and whatever. Whenever you drop your ROM in there, and then you reboot your Pi, it automatically shows up in your list. Like I have a 2600 game, so if I wanted to play E.T., whoops. As soon as I dropped it in, rebooted the Pi, it comes up. And this is the ROMs loading. Once they load, then you go in and you have your game that you can play. One of the most annoying games, but one of my fun ones. Like I said, I'm born in the 80s. I like to play the 80s games. To get the files there, they have different ways. They have one where you can actually plug in a USB key or USB flash drive, and you put a directory on there. You put the ROMs in there, and it'll slurp them right into and load them into the proper directory that it needs to. You can do file shares. There is networking where you can slurp from servers if you have these out on a server or some server out there. Also, the way I like to do it is either FTP or SSH or however you want, and just put them in there that way. The ROMs, they have them for PlayStation, Wii, GameCube. These are zips, but also they can be ISOs because they're rather large. They can get into gigs. For me, I only had an 8 gig card, so I really didn't want to put in Wii, and how do you do a Wii controller with the setup and all that. I didn't really want to get into that. And then you put the ROMs in. Now, where do you get the ROM files? I'm not going to say. I like my job, and I don't want to be in prison. How you get them? Google. Google's your friend. Just make sure that whenever you do get the ROMs, if you're going to do the MAME system with the arcade, you have to have the ones that are exactly for that version. I don't know how many times I put in ROMs and thought they worked, and they didn't. You have to get, and there's lists out there on the internet. You can find all that. other OSs you can use on here that I would love to try, I just didn't have time. There's one called Laka, I don't know how you pronounce that. Hack 5 did a segment on it a few months ago where they put it in there. It's not as pretty, I guess, as this interface. If you want to go pretty, then there is another one. It's a Kodi add-in. If you're ever familiar with Kodi, Kodi is I don't know what you want to call it, to watch videos and movies and stuff like that, hook it up to your TV. I've got one installed on my Fire Stick, my Amazon Fire Stick at home. I have Kodi installed on that so I can watch movies and upload stuff and that. So now they have a new add-on called Arcade, and it's supposed to be able to play the old games, but I haven't had that set up yet either. Arcade 2.0. What I'm going to do after this is my first prototype, so that's why it's real shaky. My woodworking's not real good and all that. I'm going to do probably custom graphics, and there's a site there for custom graphics if you want to do your custom graphics. There's an Amazon button Raspberry Pi shutdown that I'm really itching to try, and that's those stupid little order button things that you can get for $5. Apparently there's a hack out there that you can get it for the Raspberry Pi to shut down the Raspberry Pi with. I want to get that installed in there. Thought about maybe putting a camera in there and having some pictures or something like that. Kodi, like I just showed you, I might install it onto the Raspberry Pi and onto the RetroPie so I can watch movies also on this if maybe if I upgrade the screen or something like that. This is just a small 15-inch monitor, so I'll probably put in something larger. And believe it or not, I am done because I'm not a talker. If you have any questions, and here's my shameless plug. I went to Guatemala last year on a mission trip with my church, and had a great time. Built 3 houses down for some families down there at a Christian orphanage, and had a great time. So I've got a GoFundMe account out there for next summer when I get to go. Hopefully I'll get to go to Guatemala to set up some more houses. There's my email address. If you have any questions, I left a lot of time, I know you guys got to get to the CTF and all that. It was a fun build. I just pretty much wanted to do it and stick it in here for the weekend. You're welcome at any time to come up and play it. I've loaded basic games on it that you would see at the arcades. Some Atari 2600. I think I've got some Sega Genesis games. To go up and to play them, you would just, if it's at this screen, you just select whichever game you want to play, and then hit the A button. It goes in. If you want to get out of the game, you would just hit the start and the coin button at the same time, and it brings you back out to the screen. And then in the actual OS at the RetroPie, you have your setup. You can do your audio setup, your Bluetooth. You can even do, if you're familiar with the Raspberry Pi, do your Raspi config right from the operating system here. And then you can show your IP address so you know which IP to send the ROMs to and set up your Wi-Fi. And there's all kinds of stuff that you can do from there. I ask you not to change this because I really don't want to have to reload it again. If you hit the buttons again, it brings you up more menus. And you can even get more into the actual restarting the system, shutting down. You can actually get to a prompt. And other than that, I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Go up and bang on it and play on it. I've got all kinds of games. I wanted to make it two player so everybody can compete with each other maybe later tonight. If you guys are bored and want to have a contest or something, you can do that. But that was my my thoughts. So is there any good questions or thoughts or suggestions or something to throw at me? Cool. I'm done. Good luck with the CTF. I think it's the shortest presentation